too.
Could be a Xayah angle for light, perhaps, as Xayah, one of the AD carries that has kind of been creeping back into the meta, or even a Karsa. I mean, I don't know how well that does into the Lucian specifically, but would be exciting to see.
If you go Karsa Nautilus, you can match the 2v2, and it doesn't feel that bad. You can basically match the burst, but you can't necessarily match the sustain, right? That's kind of the big issue with that lane. We'll see whether or not they'll go towards that angle. As Light's feeling himself potentially with the Draven. They're definitely considering it, and they're gonna lock it in.
Yeah,
and
it takes
they're gonna steal away the Nami. Okay.
Beautiful stuff, beautiful stuff. Light and Crisp looking to answer WE's bottom lane. WE, what do they have up their sleeves? I'd be very surprised. Sona locked in against Draven?
Well, okay, what I will say is yes, Sona can get one shot by Draven, but in isolation, Sona against Nami is a pretty good lane for Sona as far as I'm aware. Sona is one of the best scaling supports in the game, funnily enough. It's something that you would see come out into Yuumi specifically, because Yuumi, of course, kind of held that platform for a while, plus the cat's broken. You can't really deny that. But Sona would come out into it. Now, I'm kind of surprised to see it here. We'll see what exactly Lwandy does and how WE play around the pick and around the bottom side in particular, because it's such a volatile lane already with Lucian plus a Draven.
And you got to believe Lwandy knows how to pilot the champion. He used to be a Janna one trick. The enchanters are his game. So we'll see what he's got up his sleeves for us. Like you said, the Sion being banned away, the Syndra being banned away as well, and it will be a Gnar taken away from TheShy. Biubiu quaking in his boots at the thought of that Gnar after last game, and I don't blame him either. I'm wondering if Weibo would ban the Ksante now that the Gnar's gone.
No, I think what they want to do is just ban away frontliners that are like true frontliners, right? I feel like Ksante obviously can double as both, but he kind of leans more into the angle of being a bit of a backline diver. Now, I'm kind of surprised about the LeBlanc ban, because what I was suspecting Shanks might do is go towards the Ahri, but Shanks is also a LeBlanc player, and I'll wonder with both the Syndra and the LeBlanc banned away, whether or not they'll go towards that pick or not. It seems like for now they're more concerned about locking in something for Biubiu. I'm kind of surprised after how last game went that they're willing to blind into TheShy here, giving him the opportunity to just find another positive matchup, right? He can go something like Gwen, he can go a whole plethora of things. TheShy, he is TheShy. It really just depends on how he's feeling on the day.
And the thing is, like, Gwen was one of his specialities when it first came out. Like, TheShy was the Gwen player in the LPL. Every single time we saw him get it, he would get solo kills, he would dominate the matchup. Now, granted, it's quite a different Gwen to what is available right now. Like, it was a very overtuned Gwen at the time, but he's certainly proficient on the champion. But Kennen, also open and available. Also something we've seen plenty of times from TheShy over the years.
Yeah, we have indeed. And it's going to be an arc, which that's what I was anticipating Shanks would lock in, just because of the bans on the opposite side. Perhaps they were worried about something like this Veigar in isolation coming through, and that would be a little bit obnoxious to deal with. WE about a Ryze, I think out of the things they've covered so far, this would maybe make the most sense. Can stand this own 2 feet the most against this duo, and they will lock it in. Plus, it sets up for Heng in the early stages of the Lee Sin, the Rune Prison into the Sonic Wave. Really consistent 2v2 and a lot of burst damage between them. So I like that they've gone towards this angle. It gives them side laning as well, which could definitely be an angle for them to look towards. But for Weibo, a lot of, engage and dive options. A lot of non-committal from a couple of members, but with Karsa, if he goes in, the rest of the team has to follow up, and it has to be on a core member to immediately blow them up. And I feel like Lwandy in particular is probably going to be on the receiving end of quite a few engages because he's so squishy. But if he stays alive and remains alive, he's going to keep everyone on WE and healthy.
Honestly, I feel like
But more specifically, I think when they're dealing with something like a Kennen who loves getting in the middle of multiple members at a time, trying to blow them up, I feel like it's going to create a pretty interesting dynamic between how these two compositions want to play against each other.
We'll have to see how it's all going to pan out. The crowd out in force here as Hope won't fall for the level 1. Backs away, spots it out. Chris thinking there's a ward here with the way that Hope backed off, but will come up empty-handed. Can't give that XP over to Xiaohu for the early laning phase. You can see a similar thing from WE. Shanks and Lwandy looking to get some early vision here. I think Shanks should be able to slam a ward down, but perhaps not. Perhaps just playing with his face as the vision.
Ward. Human ward. He is the ward. Yeah, who needs a ward? Honestly, who needs information in League of Legends? I think he put one down.
True.
Now.
Just draft Teemo. That's the strategy.
True, dude. Teemo's like sitting in other lanes at level 1, invisible, and just cheesing another lane is always really hilarious. It's normally the mid lane because most of the time they're in top, but you know,
it's so disgusting.
Something I just thought about. I think no, TheShy played Grasp Nidalee top in the season kickoff event. I thought it was Teemo though. I think he toyed with the idea, but never did it. It could have been quite funny. But this bottom lane, I was about to say, I wonder when the last time a Sona was ever picked here, and it was by Kadea.
Over a
year ago. Yeah.
As all in the bottom side here, hope the target is like getting some axes out. You don't anticipate an actual kill at level 1, but good damage coming through. Sustain on either sides of this lane though, so expect up trading, expect heavy trading throughout this lane.
Oh, I just noticed something as well with the Sona. The last time that it showed up was WE versus Weibo. It's the exact same matchup.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it said it in the graphic.
Well, that's insane. Yeah, and it was WE playing it because it was Kadea. So
yeah,
that's just bizarre. That's an extremely strange coincidence. As I can't believe Heng has managed to make it past that ward without being seen. But Xiaohu's in a very safe position.
He's on a diet. It's okay. He's just, you know, he's hugging that wall as he slips around it, and he's all good. But yeah, so this bottom lane. Was you gonna ask me? I bet you were gonna ask me. Were you gonna do it?
Yeah, I was about to ask about the bottom lanes.
Okay, so level 1, you could see Light and Crisp. They're definitely trying their best to try and put a bit of pressure down. Lwandy started the Q, but now that he's level 2, he's gonna have the heal available to him, and this is where the lane can get a little bit irritating, a little bit oppressive, because unless you can all in Sona, which is what you can see Young is angled, but Karsa's covering, it's kind of difficult to move out of the lane if you don't have a hook champion, right? And Nami's not really that level of setup. And the other thing you have to recall as well, Lucian gets the buff when he's given shields. He gets the extra magic damage on his autos. Everything Sona does gives him that enchanter buff, so yeah, he's always going to have that additional damage available to him in the trades. It's not quite like Nami, Lucian, where it's kind of tied to just 2 spells. It's everything she presses. So we'll see how Weibo will deal with that. Once level 6 comes online, I feel like that's where you really see the point of pressure come through. But until then, it should be WE all the way.
Karsa, I think, knows that there's a lot of vision there. Like how many wards are in the bottom side jungle from WE to keep tabs on Karsa. And not surprising after what happened in game number 1, right? He was so proactive throughout that game, constantly finding opportunities, constantly finding his way into lanes. And this time around, it feels like Heng, his sole mission is to find Karsa in the early game and not let him find these early ganks. Xiaohu just going to try and clear this wave to punish the recall. Missed the cannon. Absolute pain, sheer pain. As, they're actually losing this trade, these trades so far. The Draven Nami not winning out against the Sona. Yeah, I mean, it's just because Sona's got much more access to healing capabilities than the Nami does, and now Blood is in the water, and WE, they're eyeing up a dive, and it's just going to happen 2v2! Doesn't even need the jungler. A TP channeled from Xiaohu as well, and they still lose the play. That is huge from WE. Beautiful little 2v2. Yeah, really, really awesome. And again, you know, it's just not something you can really contend with right now if you're not finding an all-in angle, which can be quite difficult. As W have been playing mostly on the tower until that wave crash back. There's not much you can do about that, so bottom side matchup, falling behind a little bit. The kill did go over to Lwandy. It didn't go over to Lucian. So that's going to feel, I guess, slightly better for the immediate future of the trades. But even then, saying that, Sona getting to, you know, item breakpoints, moonstone, I presume. Going to feel quite annoying. It's goofy, but, you know, he just wants the wave in. Yeah, he's just going to crash that one. As WE, so far, a very, very quiet game from them, but exactly what the doctor ordered. They're managing to find themselves a small lead for the time being. And it does feel like, you know, the early presence on both compositions kind of matches each other, right? Where it's all about the jungle and AD carry being the really big strength early on. So far, it's been match and WE having the advantage in it. Light managing to stay even in CS despite his support dying earlier on. But with Shanks stuck in the mid lane, the wave crashing in the bottom side as well, Weibo will be able to grab themselves the first Drake of the game. So a kill for a Drake is all that's been traded across the course of this game so far. CS, though, looking pretty tasty on the side of Weibo. You can see TheShy already over halfway through his call.
Yeah, he is indeed. And what I'm really looking forward to is sort of around 1.5 to 2 items. I think that's where both these teams really spike heavily. And in the case of Ryze, definitely more towards that second item. And that's where I want to see more proactive plays as complete 5s happen, but I'd need to see Weibo get aggressive once Karsa has ultimate. Oh my!
So close to going down. Hope and Lwandy a really great all-in. And that's just level 5. Imagine what happens once they're level 6.
Yeah. It's really, really nasty. And Weibo needs to do something about this bottom side matchup. It's not going the way they need it to right now. Biubiu?
Okay, that was... Let's not talk about it. Let's not talk about it. Yeah, a bit of a fumble. That's all it was, as Biubiu kind of messing up the opportunity to try and get the kill on the Shy. Had the jungler nearby, but Shy now just infinite advantage in the top side. Has his ultimate, if he could find the stun, this could be a kill from the Shy. Flashes in and punishes the fumble. Biubiu not having a good game.
Do you know what would have helped Biubiu there in that 1v1?
Having his flash.
Why did he flash,
Oh,
man? I'm so confused. All right, Heng. Okay, so he's got the angle for the kick. So the Shy should be dead. But how long will it take?
Could. Uses the lightning rush. You notice Karsa is actually just doing his blue buff. He's not even coming to try and help. He's like, TheShy, if you can escape this one, fair play to you, but I ain't helping. You're on your own, buddy.
No, you're gone. And he's now slipping behind the Herald. No, he's not gonna do anything silly, is he? I'm not too sure. Towards the bottom side, because as you can see, Biubiu was covering for a potential dive. Little do WE even know that Karsa is sat right here, waiting for this Herald to drop low enough to sneak in.
Yeah, Heng is really low. If the Q lands, I mean, ult is available. This is just going to be a kill for Karsa. The Herald bashing Heng as well. The Xiaohu moves over. It's not even needed. A solo kill in the jungle.
Oh, hello.
Flash forced in the bottom side. Can be answered. Ult's available for WE, but doesn't look like it as Karsa gets the Herald up top.
Yeah, Lwandy couldn't really flash any other way but sideways. If he had the opportunity to flash forward, then I'm sure he would have. Speaking of flashing forward.
I mean, I don't even know. I can't believe we're replaying this. Poor Biubiu.
Poor Biubiu. It's definitely a moment to forget as a player. As moments later, TheShy just punishes him and flashes forward on his face. I just don't know what he flashed for.
Yeah. Do you know, the funny thing is, I'm not even sure TheShy needed to flash on the follow-up play. Like,
I'm not
he was
sure
in range
he did
of the
either.
ult. I think he could have got the kill without. But then again, Ksante does have a lot of dashes, a lot of shielding, so just wanted to make sure that that kill was absolutely guaranteed. Biubiu, not to be deterred, still going to go for it. Loses half his HP, needs to find the knockback, and all out comes on through. But TheShy, he does damage now that the all out's in play. Walks away, still has HP. The knockback doesn't land. No! Walks into melee range, and the whirling death. Too little, too late.
Man, but you never know, do you? You never know. Oh my god!
The kick from Sona, but Heng can't finish the kill. And Crisp is just 1v1 Lwandy in the Dragon Pit. Shanks moves over. Crisp still surviving as the rest of the gang arrives. Shanks is going to be the one to go down. Crisp finally falls as Karsa low on HP as well, but a double knockback. And Xiaohu follows up. It's going to be a triple kill, a third of the nine-tailed fox.
Not bad at all for Weibo. You like the idea from Heng, but the issue is no one's in the pit to kill the bloody fish. So she just stays there for so long. Crisp standing his ground against the Sona in a bit of locked support or combat, if I may. And in the follow-up, Xiaohu just gets everything. no one's able to kill Xiaohu because no one was able to kill. If no one's able to kill Crisp, I don't think anyone's killing Xiaohu. No one is in position to. Quite a funny play that. As we're looking at how this 1v1 broke out first. And yeah, Biubiu, like you said, not to be deterred. Keywords there. Brings himself over to the alcove, and that actually brings TheShy further away from safety once the all-out comes in. Real nice from Biubiu, finds the angle. Q doesn't connect, but one more auto as the passive was still on top of TheShy. Gives him that empowered auto attack as, let's see this kick real smooth. So fast that the resonating strike doesn't actually connect on to Crisp. As Heng is taken out very quickly for the commitment to the play. Shanks tries to get on top of Crisp, but the field is here for Weibo and no one is able to actually get inside of the pit and do anything about it. At this point, W just have to stand their ground, but the double knockback into the double Q pullback from the Ahri is too much AoE. WE destroyed.
Yeah, absolutely destroyed. And I will say, this has been a very messy game, considering how quiet it was to start things off. We're almost at a kill a minute now. As Light gets the Herald drop for him and Weibo start to try and pressure. They want to snowball. They know they have a small gold lead. They want it to get bigger. Charge comes on in. Won't be able to find the double plate, just the one. There's still a minute and a half for Light to try and finish that one off. And the reset's going to come through from the bot lane of WE, so should be able to get that. As Xiaohu moves into the mid lane alongside Karsa to try and crash a wave here as well. Perhaps resets could come through from Weibo, but in fact, they're sticking around for the time being. Xiaohu wants that plate in the mid lane. We'll be able to get it. And I mean, Xiaohu, if he wasn't a threat before, 4-0-0, he's picked up a Dark Seal off the back of that previous play, and I don't blame him. I'd be feeling confident too.
He wants stacks, Munch. Plain and simple. And I mean, Ahri's the kind of champion where it's really easy to get those stacks going. Oh, there's a reason.
Oh, nice bubble from Crisp. They don't quite get that fourth plate, 1 HP. And Hope and Lwandy managing to push them off. Rightly so. Very greedy to stay.
Yeah, absolutely is. And first items in for Lwandy and for Hope. I'm sure somewhere in the world, LS is smiling. That's a Moonstone, and Lwandy's inventory is in the mid lane.
Is there. Karsa's arriving, but Heng is here too, so it's 2v2. I think that's enough for both teams to decide this ain't worth it anymore.
Yeah, not gonna go for a full commit either side here. As I say that though, Heng has the kick and it's a flash!
Oh, it's a kick. The ultimate comes straight out to Heng though. He doesn't have the help to keep this one going. Shanks charging forwards, tied away across the team. Shanks threading on to Xiaohu, whose charm should be up soon, but Karsa's down. There's the charm underneath the tower. Everfrost too, but not quite in tower range. So Shanks will walk away.
Man, this one is just so messy from both sides, but it is eventually Karsa that drops. Kick flash helps secure it, and the chase down comes through eventually from the bottom side. Hope and Lwandy had first move up to that skirmish. They locked that one down.
I can't believe that Heng and Shanks are winning a 2v2 against Karsa and Xiaohu when just 4 kills. Like, surely Karsa Xiaohu should be favored there, but somehow WE winning out of the first part of the skirmish, and like you say, the bot lane moving. Wins him the fight. Tower taken off the back of it as well as Light tries to punish, but it's not going to find anything.
No, won't find anything cool. Tower goes down. W bottom side will continue to snowball this advantage that they have for themselves as another really nice kick, but Ultimate comes back in and repositions Karsa crucially back to a slightly safer spot. As you know what, if that Ultimate doesn't hit Hope and Lwandy and it hits Heng, I think he'd execute him because he's got so many stacks. He's not died yet this game. Just a very important call out.
That's probably what he was looking for. He probably didn't even know Hope and Lwandy were there.
No.
Because you saw the tidal wave going over as well. I think that was to try and set up for the ultimate. Shy in trouble again as Biubiu looking for the all-in, but the knockback won't be there in time. Karsa moving over. Rocket Belt won't be enough to find a stun onto Biubiu. No, I think he will walk away with his life.
For now, because Biubiu has been, what's the word used again? Undeterred. Yeah. Unfortunately, as he steps up, Weibo step back. So the universe, maybe the universe doesn't like him at all.
I don't think so. The all out. Oh, it hit Karsa as Karsa ulted.
Yeah, exactly. So unmovable. I can't remember what the status effect is. But unstoppable.
Yeah.
There you go. Got that. So it just
I
looks
was
a bit
just
good.
going to go with unmovable. I was there for it.
Yeah, it worked. But kind of just
enough for
trade
me.
places. Kind of just trade places. But the tower goes down for the side of Weibo, so they'll feel good about that either way. Not going to feel too sad. And the Herald is still on the map, so we'll see who wants to get on top of that objective next. But Dragon spawns in 25 seconds, so we could just see a trade. And it is a Cloud Soul again. It's pretty windy, apparently, in Xi'an, in WE's home town and arena.
What are you saying about WE's diet, mate? Come on now. It's red buff.
They're eating too many beans. That's what's happening.
Karsa does manage to secure the red buff in the end. Smite available for both junglers, though. I feel like we're gearing up for a fight here, Jamada. Weibo moving over. Light's got those axes spinning. WE, though, burning through this straight for the time being. 5k on it, 6k in fact. It's Karsa trying to move in. A TP behind enemy lines from Biubiu. Weibo are committed, though. TheShy not here, no TP. This is 4v5, and Karsa's caught out, stunned up, and taken down. Light trying to escape with his life, but hope ain't letting
Oh!
happen. Here's TheShy arriving on the scene. Late is better than never, but Xiaohu doesn't have to damage up at all. It's only the singular kill, and now Xiaohu being chased.
dead.
Spirit Rush available, but just not used. And now TheShy in a 1v1 with Biubiu taken out, and WE, they find everything they could have wanted.
Yeah, they do right at the end. Xiaohu's almost actually timed out. Already used all the charges, and WE, just off the back of Biubiu's excellent flank, able to collapse onto too many members of WE, and they can't quite handle that. They need to be all together. And I think the fact that the fight ends up being a bit split apart, you know, TheShy comes in, it makes things a little bit awkward, but they're still the ones on the map, as Xiaohu and TheShy are the ones that end up dying, and they'll get the dragon. So all is well that ends well. And we'll see how they continue to navigate, as again, the composition. Sona's not something we see often, is it? It's very, very rare. But this flank out of vision, W brings them in, and actually there's a kick here. Oh, okay, so it's a flash from Light, which gets him into that position. Otherwise, he would have died a lot sooner. And actually, that flash is what barely makes this close to an even exchange, or closer to an even exchange, as even as three members dying can be. As down here, yeah, TheShy just gets run down. Full out Ksante at this stage in the game is a bit of a powerhouse. Damage almost returned in kind, to be fair, but not enough to find lethal. Oh.
Speaking of return,
bring it back.
It's going to be Shanks taken out in the top side. A nice little pick for Weibo. No idea how it happened, but it happened, that's for sure. 150 stacks is Light going down in that previous play. That's a lot of adoration stacks taken away. He never managed to find a kill earlier on into the game. Biubiu spotted on a ward. We'll just go for a reset as TheShy gets a Herald in the top lane. That's going to be one dead tier 2.
Yeah, I know. Back in the day, it used to be 50% stacks, but they actually nerfed how many stacks you lose. So I think you lose, it's somewhere in the realm of 70%, I'm pretty sure now. So being at 150 means that he was at a lot of bloody stacks much before that fight. So good thing for WE. Yeah, good thing for
Almost
WE
20 minutes in and hadn't had much action in the bottom side, right? So
yeah, not much at all. But I mean, again, I feel like that kind of benefits WE's comp, right? Like, you've got a Sona and a Ryze. I feel like you should be happy scaling, but like I mentioned earlier, it's the 2-item breakpoint, which is really where I expect things to pick up. And right now, across the board, we're starting to hit those breakpoints, right? TheShy has a Void Staff over on the opposite side, 2 items in for the Ryze, so Shanks is basically just waiting for the Roa to fully stack, and Hope just hitting the Vori Quick Blades. So this should be the window that W are looking for to find every fight that they want to. And as long as they don't run face first into Slicing Maelstrom like that last team fight, they should be very, very well off for now, as another tower goes down on the bottom side. That one goes to Xiaohu.
And I think as we've hit the 2 and a bit item mark on this Kennen, it's worth quickly mentioning the fact that there is no exhaust on the side of WE unless Shanks pulls it up with a spellbook. So we need to keep an eye on Shanks' summoner spells as we get later on into the game, because TheShy's ultimates, without an exhaust in play, will be game-changing.
Yeah, and there's only really 2, maybe you can pull out 3 if you include the crescendo from Sona, tools to stop TheShy from going in, right? The kick and the all out. And those might not always necessarily stop TheShy from just finding another way back in. As here we go, Hope getting engaged on.
Trouble. The Chops, I mean, he's gone. And there's the adoration stacks we talked about. Light finally online with that one. That should be enough for him to finish his Infinity Edge as well. Already has that Bloodthirster. And a ton of gold just taken from that kill. And sure, they don't get an objective off the back of it, but when Draven's getting the kill, I feel like that somewhat is an objective.
It's just a bit unfun, isn't it? Get violated into everything else, and like you say, honestly, that gold into light is like picking up an objective, to be honest with you. And we'll see now what they can do with that Infinity Edge, because again, you know, big break points here. Champions like a Draven does so much more damage with that IE, as many champions tend to do. As W will return back out onto the map, but again, I feel like they're going to be very, very apprehensive about starting up a Baron, just because TheShy exists, and like you called out, there is no exhaust available to stop him from basically blowing up the whole team. It's a whole team of squishies plus a Ksante. I don't think TheShy's going to care much about doing damage to them. He's going to be very, very happy.
Yeah. Kind of keeping my eye on Shanks here this game, because he's been fairly quiet, but 8 assists, and he's on that rise. So later on into things, he is still going to be an absolute monster in these team fights. When everything's kicked off, you've got a lot of short range on the side of Weibo, so perhaps after the Kennen ultimate, he can have his opportunity to shine. This could be Shanks' game to win. And we know that his Ryze is fantastic. We've seen it before. These control mages, feel like Shanks has shown his quality on over the years. And especially as, you know, the franchise player for WE these days, you expect him to step up in these games that matter so much. WE, remember, they still have not locked playoffs. And a win today wouldn't quite lock them in, I don't think, but very, very close to. It would pretty much guarantee that they make it.
Should do. 8 is starting to look like the magic number in this split. I was told normally it's 9, but
it's crazy that we're in week number 10, and it's all going to come down to final games for teams. Like,
yeah,
it's such a close run this year. Biubiu trying to threaten on the bottom side of the play. This should be enough for the Dragon to be taken, unless Karsa goes for it, jumps in, half of Fang's health. Dragon taking the Xiaohu, 1 HP, and Biubiu finishes the job. Now all out onto TheShy. Forget Kennen ultimate, it's never even going to get to use it. Hope shuts him down with the Gale Force, and now Karsa on the front line, whirling death. It does some damage, but not enough. And it's only the bottom lane from Weibo remaining. WE, a huge moment in the game because Baron is on the cards.
This is the point where they can start to turn things back around. Team WE get a good fight in front of the Dragon. Everything just falls their way. The kick manages to find just about enough space to secure the Dragon, and Xiaohu gets chunked out from the exchange itself. Biubiu cleans up that mess, and WE now have a big purple worm. Let's take a look at this play, because Heng finds the kick and it lands, oh my god, onto Xiaohu. I didn't see what else hit him, but surely that couldn't have just been the kick that dealt that much damage. As the rundown comes in, Biubiu pops the ghost. He's never, doesn't have, just on the boat. Take that back, but either way, damage done. No one can really escape from the side of Weibo except for the bottom laners. And now they're going to be vulnerable targets to just about any play that WE make.
It says a lot about the state of the game, doesn't it? That it's only a 1,000 gold lead for WE off the back of that massive fight and a Baron. Part of that coming down to the adoration cash-in earlier. Part of it down to how well Weibo managed to build themselves the lead earlier on. But now the pressure is on for WE. They have the advantage. They are the ones in the driver's seat. Can they finish a game out against Weibo? Because Weibo is one of those teams that when you make a mistake, they're going to punish you hard. They are going to take over the game if you let them. WE about denying those opportunities. Trying to hover for Shanks right now. Shadow this top side for Xiaohu. He reckons he's found that mistake. Diving in onto Lwandy. The Sona surviving though. The shield not taken down in the end. And now the return from WE. But Hope caught by TheShy. All out to protect the AD carry. Karsa jumps onto the backline as well. Hope down. But look at Weibo's health bars. They're taken apart. And Karsa with a double. But it just doesn't matter. Shanks carrying the fight. And TP's into the base. WE want to end.
WE, I don't know if they've got enough damage to end though. They might have the time on their side. I think it's just going to be an inhibitor munch. But like you say, Shanks carries the team fight. Karsa full sends it all the way toward the backline for Lwandy. And even though Xiaohu's able to follow up, after that, they're behind enemy lines and TheShy does its best to try and follow up on some more diving antics. But if no one's killing Shanks, it doesn't really matter. He's going to slowly but surely mow through the health bars. And he does just that. It's a good attempt. The idea is solid from Weibo. But Lwandy just gets so much distance. Like, it's a max range ultimate from Karsa anyway, but the flash over the wall just makes it that much better. And like you call out, the kit's great as well. Dissuading as now Shanks finds Light first, finds Chris whilst all of this is going on. Biubiu also but untouched, to be honest with you. Trying to get through the divers. And it's just an overextension from Weibo, but they have to go for that kind of play.
Yeah. And it feels like Xiaohu just not really doing enough damage there. Like, at the end of the day, you've found Sona of all champions. But now, as I'm speaking, he finishes a death cap. There is no way Lwandy is surviving another play like that. The Orb of Deception is going to rinse people now that the death cap's been finished off. So WE do still need to be careful. A little teaser of what's available for Weibo if you miss position. Now they didn't finish off that time. Death cap might be the difference maker for future plays. Now just all hiding on top of wards. Desperate for someone to overextend. But I think Heng knows what's going on.
He needs, and by he I mean Weibo, they need WE to overstep somewhere. And they need it to happen quickly. I think they can afford, much like last game actually, and they're on the receiving end of it, which is quite ironic, to just lose this Cloud Dragon. Biubiu, just having a staring contest.
Like, yeah, Light maybe trying to bait Biubiu into ulting him there over the wall, and then suddenly there's 5 Weibo players, but Biubiu not going to fall for it. Drake coming up in 20 seconds. Cloud's off. WE!
Wow.
Kick onto Karsa. Heng though might have sacrificed his life. What is that damage? Coming through from Shanks in the middle of everyone. Almost one-shots Crisp, but it's answered by Light here. But Shanks is invincible. Shard flashed away from Karsa's back in the play. How did nobody die?
I have no idea. Karsa managed to get out after the stasis with a flash, and comically, like you call, no one dies. It's so absurd, but in the extended, W is still going to pick up the dragon. They've got the Sona sustain in the long run. And again, it just feels like in this kind of death pool composition, if you kill the Sona or kill off the damage dealers super quickly as Weibo, things just start to fall apart now that we're approaching the later stages of this game. TheShy, it has to be said, find impact. He has to find a huge ultimate. I think the keystone, right? Ahead of Karsa, ahead of Xiaohu. Otherwise, things just go from bad to worse. And I imagine WE can just pilot this one out as patiently as they have been for the last 5-10 minutes or so.
WE. The thing is, they've got a mountain to climb. This is only the 1 out of 3 games. Biubiu doesn't know he's currently stood on a ward. So Weibo playing with some information here. Weibo, if they can just find one miracle turnaround fight, to be honest, they need more than one miracle turnaround fight. Look how many towers are still up on the map, but could find themselves back in this game. Draven certainly scales well as we've got a fight up in the top side. A kick from Heng here, and already a pick onto Xiaohu. Karsa's down as well. Forget your miracle fights for Weibo. TheShy comes in. There's some big damage onto Lwandy, but it ain't enough, for now he's 1v4. And the lightning rat will be taken down. Pikachu no more.
Bye-bye.
I don't know why Chris and Light are still here, honestly. Nope. At this point, WE just cleaning house. NX and Lwandy picking up the final kill. I don't know how he survived through so much in this game, but WE have done it. They've pushed it to a 3rd game. They keep themselves in this series, and they take themselves one closer to playoffs.
They need this. They need the series win to keep their hopes strong. They're not out of the race, and their final series is against NIP, but NIP aren't really stout. They've been doing pretty well. Weibo series last weekend removed, they've been doing good in recent weeks. So if they can find the series win against the Weibo instead of NIP, that feels much better, to be honest with you, going into that NIP series.
Yeah.
And this is the correct kind of step you need to take. Creative draft, right? Pulling out the Sona, the one-to-one sort of lane counter, and then, you know, game counter in a way to a lot of the dive that was coming through here from Weibo. A really strong curveball to throw at Weibo, and they just weren't simply ready for it. They couldn't ever really lock down either the Sona or another key target to immediately remove a damage threat. And the death ball was a bit too strong to deal with from the side of Team WE.
Fantastic stuff from WE. And you're mentioning, you know, looking good going towards NIP. That's going to be important as well, because NIP 2-0ing RNG in their most recent game. So everything's getting turbulent here in the LPL in terms of who's good, who's bad, who's winning games, because the results have been wacky. WE taking a game off of Weibo here. And this is what we said as well about Weibo. You know, game number 1 looking absolutely immaculate. Game number 2, not necessarily the same, as WE able to take some advantages there and able to punish them heavily, especially that play that led to their Baron.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for WE, it was just a bit too easy. I think the fact that Weibo had such limited forms of engage, right? It was either TheShy coming in off of a flank, which he couldn't really find often, or Karsa finding an engage that doesn't take him to Narnia is the key thing. And unfortunately, those things weren't offered to Weibo very often, and WE kept formation. I think that particular play you're talking about was the one where Karsa got dragged all the way back into the river. A bit too much to handle, and even if they found hope, or hell, even if they found Lwandy, Shanks eventually came online, and he was way too much to deal with, because that is kind of the nature of a Ryze left unchecked into champions that want to try and dive into him. Everything fell in place for Team WE here.
Yeah, and Shanks topping the damage numbers, not something you see too often on a Ryze, but fantastic game from him. And again, very quiet game from Shanks, 2-2 and 14 at the end of it in terms of getting those kills. But like we said, pumping out that damage during the team fights, and such a short range cold position from Weibo as well. So Ryze in a fantastic position to just EQ, and then win the game. So fantastic stuff from WE. In fact, WEQ was the combo he was going for. I'm just saying, maybe that's a sign. We're gonna jump into a quick break after that horrific joke. We'll see who can finish this series off. Weibo fighting for 4th seed here, whereas WE fighting for playoffs. We'll see how it ends after this.